Well, good morning, everyone. This is John Craig.
And this is Sandy.
All right, I just thought I'd just,
That's not the way we do that.
I know, but we want to welcome you to this edition of Let Us Reason Together. And are you surprised to see me? Well, I'm surprised to see me too. So, but we're here together today. I'm actually here just for a few minutes, and then I've got to take off. It's just been busy in work, but I was invited to step in just real quickly, and I said, okay, we'll
Invited on your show?
Invited on my show. So thank you, Sandy, for inviting me on my show. All right. So, but what is the today? It is the 20. What is it?
Don't even bother that. That's you. Don't read my script. Just do it from memory.
Right.
You said your stuff off enough. It's June 15th, guys.
It's June 15th. It is. And I'm just going to let you continue with your introduction. But I just wanted to step in there, and because you said, do you want to introduce it?
You haven't memorized your Let Us Reason Together stuff?
It's been a long time. It's been too long. But anyway.
We're not doing this show alone. We have Mr. Mark David Smith, the founder of this network, the visionary, the one who puts us all together, the one who makes things work, the one who is making me have flashbacks. And we want to welcome Joe in the chat room. In fact, you guys, if you're listening, hey, like us, put your thumbs up, share it.
That's right.
I don't need to click no stinking thumb to let people know that I like you. I like you. And so,
well, that's good, but it helps the algorithms.
It helps the algorithms. That's right. So, John, you couldn't remember your deal, huh? Your little spiel that you do, huh? You want to hear my spiel?
Yes.
My spiel.
Okay.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep say we in the thousand natural shocks that the heartache is flesh too. That's it like that. I could go on and on. I actually
that's quite a spiel, Mark.
I actually played the part in Shakespeare and plays, and I actually did 3 Shakespeare plays, and I remember almost all the lines for some stupid reason. They do. That's my favorite. But so we'll have to do a show sometime where we kind of switch those around, and we'll play different parts and things. And
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be. I've done that before. So.
Well, the only Shakespeare I ever did was The Tempest.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was one of those. I don't even remember the name of my part. I have no idea. I just know we were like on a ship or something.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah.
Good one.
Well, hey, you guys, because we want John to participate today for a little bit, so we're gonna rush through. Basically, I'm gonna let you guys know that John and I pastor Life of Worship here in Amarillo, Texas, and we'd love for you to join us in our services live YouTube. 5 o'clock Central for our service, 2 o'clock Central for our Torah Portion. We do a lot of other stuff. We'll talk more about that later. I'm not going to waste time on it right now. But this is Global Wind Day, just FYI.
Global Wind Day?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because it's actually the wind moving or the air moving, or is it because people have a lot of hot air?
You tell me.
Like Chicago, the Windy City.
That's not what I was thinking.
You politics in Chicago.
I wasn't thinking you were going there.
Okay, well, that's Windy City. That's why. The same.
Welcome back, John. Welcome
back. It's also Magna Carta Day, and it is the National Day of Prayer for law enforcement officers. They need it. And I want you to know it's Prune Day, so you can go eat some prunes.
Well,
I'm feeling relief already.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you this.
I feel good.
Our cat. Well, let's not even go there. Our raccoon, but let's not go there. Okay. Tell me if you can fill this in. Who said this? Or what does this reference? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit?
Yeah.
So it had to be a liar.
Think about a glove.
Gloves.
I just read it. So
you wouldn't have known.
No, I actually had a conversation with somebody on Shabbat at the end of Shabbat about that very thing.
It's about O.J. Simpson. Remember when he tried on the glove and
that's a good one. That's
we should do that. Phrases like that. Who said this? That's another game.
Well, here's a phrase for you then. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Yeah, Spock said that, but when did he say it in what movie?
He said it in number...
I had to look it up because I really thought
number 3?
Yeah, I thought it was actually number 4. But
did I get it right?
But it's number 2, The Wrath of Khan. And see, I thought it had progressed farther before Spock said that, but apparently it didn't, because that's from The Wrath of Khan, which is 2. But that is actually a phrase that is a huge issue around the world on political things that they make decisions on. They actually use that, but it's a Jewish concept. In other words, it's like not a Torah, but a Talmud concept. So interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
It is interesting. I wanted, since I wanted to give us some news attack information. After recovering from COVID-19, a guy in Seattle.
Let me play the intro.
No, this isn't news. This is news attack.
What?
This is silly news.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I got no intro for silly news.
This is silly news. After recovering from COVID-19, a guy in Seattle got a hospital bill for $1.1 million, folks.
I saw that.
We're not supposed to read my notes. You're supposed to just listen.
No, I saw that in the news.
Can you imagine? Hello, 1.1 million. I'd say, sorry, buddy, I ain't paying a dime. Anyway.
For what? I didn't get it. What do you mean you got $1 million for a hospital wheel?
No,
they the bill, the hospital bill.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, because they probably took him in the hospital and they intubated him and then there's a month-long recovery after they damaged his lungs, and it probably is $1 million. Well,
that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? He shouldn't have to pay it. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, that's a little bit of my news. There's another one that people feel happier after spontaneous decisions. Are you a spontaneous decision maker? I'm not. I'm one who wants to think about it, plan, put the details down, contemplate, pray, and then I still have to pray some more. And I'm like, ooh, should I, shouldn't I? You more.
And then she comes to me, John, what's the plan? I need to know the plan. I need to know the plan early.
A new survey. Go ahead.
I feel better after spontaneous combustion.
Spontaneous combustion. Well, a new survey finds that the average person will act spontaneously about 18 times per day. And the study found those who considered themselves as a spontaneous person were 40% more likely to consider themselves happy. Are you a spontaneous person?
I am more spontaneous than planned. I'm definitely more spontaneous than you are.
Everybody's more spontaneous than I. So.
There's a lot more to this story than what we're really talking about here, because it can get deep when you're talking about the spontaneous decisions on things. I know we don't have the time for that, but we could make it a discussion point sometime, because
we could.
It's one of those reasoning things that you can, find out why John makes so many spontaneous decisions during the daytime. So it's a psychological matter.
I could tell a secret. It's probably not as spontaneous as he thinks. He just doesn't remember we talked about it. Sorry. It's true.
Nothing to joke about when you're starting to get my age.
Look. I'm getting a look like.
Yeah.
I will choose not to incriminate myself.
When you start getting, I want to say our age, but when you start getting my age, that's not as funny as it used to be. So.
Hey, folks. Well, we've been laughing, and we want to hear what John has to say, input on my article.
Yeah. Bring your article up.
We're going to do the news. Stay tuned right after this. Well, here we go. The United Nations openly hijacks the United States Police Departments. Yeah, I said that. And beware. Democratic Cities, Strong Cities Network Initiative relinquishes U.S. control of law enforcement to a global body. Yeah, we're the United States. What are we doing, folks? And what are we allowing? Oh, that's so messed up. The Democrats emerged to ask for civility for Black Americans when they have not shown a shred, a little bit, not even a little bit of civility towards the rest of America. Tens of millions of dollars worth of damage has happened in New York City, and former Clinton and Obama underling Loretta Lynch is called upon by Attorney General Letitia James to oversee the predictably pro-looter and neoliberal socialist instigator cleanup job, flying in the face of federal oversight. On top of that, Lynch isn't there to follow up on all the millions of merchandise that's been looted by peaceful protesters. No, that's not what she's there to do, nor does she want to do it. Loretta Lynch is there to apply pressure to whom? The New York Police Department. As The Hill reported, well, I'm not even going to read that. We'll talk about stuff later. But the bottom line is, you may recall Loretta Lynch lost a Strong Cities network in 2015 under the United Nations with a panel of leftist U.S. mayors, including New York's de Blasio, who has thumbed his nose at NYPD since this announcement. He's basically
Lost your sound.
said that the Strong Cities Network would have an international steering committee and an international advisory board run by the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a leading international think tank based in London, whose coordinators include a who's who of the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. Under their control, law enforcement measures for the cooperating democratic cities will be directed by the Institute for Strategic Dialogue under the UN. And the UN, guys. Ignoring the U.S. Constitution completely, local officials and the laws they operate under. So if you decide to participate in the Strong Cities Initiative network, then you're rewarded with equipment and things like that. Hello, folks. Stop taking the bribe. Come on. This is the United States. Anyway, the NYPD is being targeted by Lynch's UN police force steering community. Defunding the police is just the beginning, because the democratic cities are transforming their local police forces into United Nations armies that will crush and oppose the will of the totalitarian left and dismantle America. That is what I'm trying to say. Hello, folks. It's creeping in. Stand up. Don't allow this. Stop electing Democrats. This is the opinion of Sandi Craig and not Lamb Network. Stop electing these liberal socialist Nazis. Come on. Pray. Do something. Call. Interact. Do something. Anyway, take it away.
All right. Got some opinions there, don't we? But it's true.
It's your opinion.
Well, it is my opinion. Sandi, I asked Sandi, well, what's the article today? And she said it's about the UN intervention in our cities. And the whole setup is this, and we can see what's happening in Minneapolis. We can probably see what's happening in Seattle, Washington. This is all pre-scripted. It's all scripted. Everything's been already laid out. It's been for a long time ago, and it's all been prepared. And it is about the UN coming into the United States. Now, let me give you the background on it. It's based on the Kigali principles. And if you go to my Facebook page, I actually put up several different articles regarding the Kigali principles and what it is. And essentially, the way it got started is down in Africa, where you had a government was trying to do its thing, and the UN said, hey, we don't like the way you're governing, or there's a warlord that's out there in the midst of the jungles of Africa or wherever it might be, and the government is just not taking care of business and protecting the people. So the UN said, we're going to intervene, and we'll send our troops in, and we will set up the police force, and we'll bring to heel, so to speak, all of those that are operating to hurt lives and property and businesses and the functioning of the communities. And so that's where it comes from. Well, the United States during the Obama administration signed on to the Kigali principles. They along with, I want to say 28.
Can we unsign?
28 countries. Yeah, President. Yes, 28 other countries. We can. President Trump can get us out of the Kigali principles.
Does he know? Does he need to be?
Well, I think he does know, but because if this is allowed, I mean, it's certainly, because basically this is what it says. The Kigali principles are designed to make sure that civilians are not abandoned by the international community again. And that goes back all the way to where the Rwanda, during the 1994 genocide, and the Srebrenica during the 1995 massacre. And Srebrenica is in the former Yugoslavia. And there was just a genocide. They just went in and started slaughtering people because of a different belief system, different tribal reasons, whatever it is. So the principles about this is this, and everyone that is signed on to it can have UN intervention without permission of the government. So the UN can come in and intervene because, thank you, Barack Obama.
Thank you.
And I say
Barack.
that sarcastically. And they can come in where they see a problem, where they see communities being attacked and businesses being destroyed and lives being harmed, and they can come up and set up the police force. Well, we know what happened this last week in the Minneapolis City Council voted that they're going to defund their police department. Of course, it's got the whole America up in arms, because how can you have such rioting, such flagrant violence going on in their city streets and then not have a police department? So, what's the solution to that? Now, I heard one solution is, and they've already started using this in some places around the world, where they're using robotic police forces, where they're through.
Isn't that iRobot?
iRobot, and where they have the sound system, or someone sitting behind a desk somewhere saying, "Citizen, disarm, citizen."
Oh, like that's
stand
going to
down.
do anything.
And but these robots are armed. They're actually armed and with laser sights, and they can actually shoot to kill. And see, these robots, they have the identification. You can see, have the facial identification and all that type of thing. They can see exactly who it is. And they don't see color. Of course, that's what we're seeing in America right now, is this racial, the coloring. Everybody's split up in their factions. Like, what was the movie we just watched? Diversion. Everybody's in a faction. Maybe one faction's worse than the other factions. We got to destroy that other faction. Well, we're seeing that being lived out. But let's look at it. Let's look at these principles according to the Kigali. And it says here that one, mass roundup of political dissidents. Most likely those declared as terrorists or enemies of the state, and it will be linked into participating with false flag events. So who's determining who's the bad guy in this situation? I'm going to say that. Number two, dusk to dawn curfews, which are designed to keep the people from congregating and planning in concert to overthrow the omnipresent tyranny. Three, rationing of essential resources, as specified in Executive Order 13603. The seizing of personal assets such as food and water, control over all food and water, These are all part of the Executive Order 13603. The prohibition of weapons of any kinds, including guns, knives, and chemicals, which can be turned into explosives. The confiscation actually would be a capital crime to possess a weapon of any type. It is the confiscation of property, homes, businesses, the arrest without due process, and that's in the NDAA. There's massive papers, please checkpoints with intrusive searches. Well, what's going on in Seattle, Washington with the Republic of Chaz? They actually set up their own warlord and police force where you can't get in and out of Chaz without papers because they set up their borders. Like, remember, no borders, no walls, no USA at all. Well, guess what? Those people that were chanting that now set up borders around their own little nation of Chaz.
7 blocks of Seattle.
Yeah.
How is that? Oh,
all right. So,
okay, we
forced relocation of suspected American dissidents, forced conscription into various labor camps, even into the military. Outlawing free speech, and that conscription is medical martial law policies could be invoked in the advent of the introduction of a pathogen. I'm going to hold on there because I'm going to tell you when this article was dated. Outlawing of free speech following recent terror attacks and the installation of massive surveillance programs, establishment of snitch programs. Have you heard that in Los Angeles with Los Angeles mayor? The total control of elimination of religion. And the Bible has already been characterized as hate speech. So how about this? And because today, one who is a Christian, and I'm saying Christian in broad terms, those that have biblical faith, as they're being termed as cast in an anti-gay, transgender, and anti-government, etc. Control of the media, except for the total eradication of the alternative media. This has already happened. So control of the media. I mean, just watch them.
Lost your mic.
Okay, I just said the execution without due process of law, which is in the NDAA, total suspension of the Constitution, as this is essential to complete in light of actions as EO 13603 and the NDAA. So a lot of people have a problem with this. There's a cognizant dissonance going on because people don't see how these executive orders, what we've done in signing up with the UN, and how these things are being applied in nations where the UN designates as hotspots and reason for intervention. And then we say, how can we do this in a constitutional republic? Well, guess what? When we signed that over, and it didn't take a Senate approval, guess what? We signed a treaty without Senate approval. But that's thank you to the prior administration. If we'd been under Hillary Clinton, I think we'd be under this a lot sooner than this. There have been numerous sightings of UN vehicles. They're white vehicles with UN on the side, being transported around the nation, being in parking lots.
Can we blow them up?
Behind big, large, warehouses. They're waiting to be used. And now with what's happened in Minneapolis, what's going on in Seattle, in New York City, we're primed. We're primed for a UN intervention in our nation. And especially as these riots, they're not just dying down, they are heating up. And they're going
as they bring people in to riot, and pay them.
Right. Well, and they're paying the rioters.
I don't have a job. Well, see, the reason all those people lost their jobs on purpose was so they would have no alternative but go work for George Soros and Bill Gates and get paid to riot. So their new job is to riot and destroy America.
So they get money for that, and they don't have to destroy their own city. They get bused into another city. But needless to say, this where I got this one that I was reading from was from usacarry.com, and the article is dated May the 5th. 2018. 2018. So yes, they did introduce pathogens into our culture. They did use that to bring a lockdown that caused a lot of social disruption. And of course, I hate the term social distancing because what it's done is it's created a vacuum of people that are disturbed with being locked up, not having a job, not having income. And so what do? Now you can take the people that are uneducated, you can take the people that have an education, that have a purpose in mind, and you can bring them all together. You can bring in a few agents, provocateurs, and stir up the crowds, and you can destroy neighborhoods and destroy businesses and destroy cities. And you can follow what they followed in the 60s. You can follow the plan of what they've done in many other cities around the world, where they've overturned governments by stirring up the people, bringing up false flags, and then bring in their order out of chaos. And
you have to get out of the city.
And so this is an emphasis or an exclamation point of what Sandi brought up. And it's something that we need to be aware of. It is out there. You can just look it up. Kigali Principles, Kigali, Kigali Principles. And you're going to find a wealth of information. And you can see how America is following down that path in spite of President Trump. This is in spite of what President Trump is doing and what he's done to try to unify this nation. They have been instigating things of division. And by the way, and I do want to say this, there is a great report that Millie Weaver did, and it's over there on band.video, talking about what's happened in Minneapolis and how Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and so many others have been using the Sunrise Movement to take our children from middle school, from high schools, to teach them these principles, and how the children will be put up first in the streets at the head of the mobs to protest, but be used in leverage to where the rest of the violent mob can follow. And all of these things are in place. She does a great report where they sent in undercover operatives 2 years ago to find out exactly what is going on and why our cities are on fire. So very interesting, people. This is a time to pray. And if you do live,
it's a time to act.
And a time to act. It is a time that's
reconsider where you live.
Yeah, it's a time to reconsider where we live and to get out of those if there's any way possible, you need to get out of those big cities, because it is not, it's not something that's just going to die out. It will continue to intensify as we go through the summer into the fall, because it's the same pattern that took place in the 2016 elections, when they saw that President Trump was won the nomination, and we saw the rise, not the rise of Black Lives Matter, but we saw an increase of mayhem through Black Lives Matter and so many of the George Soros organizations. And here we see it again. It's all happening again. It started, in March. Everything had been planned out, ready to go. So in the following 6 months from March going up to the elections, that they would have enough chaos and enough economic troubles to take everything out of play, which has taken what President Trump did in the last 3 years. So folks, this is what's going on. Of course, when I think about these things, I also think about the prophecies of Dimitri Duduman and Henry Groover and David Wilkerson, and how they talked that the very things that we're seeing right now is the very things that,
when there's rioting in the cities
and the fires are on, the cities are on fire,
that's when Russia will attack.
That's when Russia and those that are in alignment with Russia will attack America. So we need to know that this is a very sobering time. And this is what the agenda is. We're laying out the agenda, and now we're seeing it. We've talked about it for years. Dave Hodges on the Common Sense Show has talked about the Kigali Principles in detail, and you can go back and research those articles. And here we're watching it. They're playing out. And so don't be surprised when the UN troops start entering into these cities, even in Minneapolis, before the police are completely disbanded, that we'll start seeing UN troops. And
I do want to say a disclaimer. I don't advocate blowing anything up. We're not the left. We don't do that.
No,
but we do need to pray, and we do need to make our voice known. So please understand, I didn't literally mean we need to go blow anything up, because we don't. But we do need to raise our voice so that we can rid ourselves, and we need to contact President Trump and tell him to get rid of that bill and get rid of that,
that executive order.
Undo what Barack Obama did.
Okay, well, let's put another spin on it. Remember what the new Joint Chief of Staff, I forget that Army general's name, came out and opposed President Trump using American troops on the streets, which, according to the Insurrection Act, has been used many, many times. Do not believe the mainstream media that President Trump is acting on his own, and this is a precedent that's never been done before. It's been used before. U.S. troops have been used on American streets because of the Insurrection Act in order to quell the violence and the insurrection that's going on. And President Trump has even told the mayors and the governors of these blue cities, blue states, take control, do something, or I will. Well, this general has come out and did not support President Trump. This is a danger sign for America. President Trump, you need to get rid of that general.
Yes,
and any general,
immediately.
just like Barack Obama got rid of any general that was a nationalist and any officer that was a nationalist, to the tune of 400, 800.
We need to get rid of every
we need to get rid of every
socialist Nazi.
leftover general, officer, any that's in the U.S. Armed Services that do not support the Constitution of the United States.
Yes, please, President Trump, do it now. Don't wait. Waiting can be detrimental.
Yeah, because this general wants the UN. He's like, well, we shouldn't be doing that. Well, what's he saying? He's signaling that the UN needs to come in with their troops and patrol our streets. Well, that's not a good sign, because that's when we lose our Second Amendment rights. That's when we lose our First Amendment rights. And
we lose the
UN
Constitution.
troops
no longer the
have
United
a history of coming in and not only taking away the rights of the people, but they create their own mayhem with the abuse of the people, the rapes, all of that stuff comes along with UN. I'm not trying to fear monger. I'm just saying that is historically what's happened when the UN has come in.
All right, Mark.
There you go. When Sandi said it, I was like, oh, I got too much information.
And that's Let Us Reason Together for the day.
Not until I get my say.
That's right.
I always go to movies, first of all, so we should watch movies to let us know what's actually coming up, because I think the producers and writers of movies in the past 30 years really have seen into the future. Look at Red Dawn.
Right.
Both the old one and the new one are both impeccable movies. And by the way, as far as, the violence and everything, I think we need more gratuitous violence. And a movie's not any good unless it has at least half of the movie gratuitous violence. So, it's all there is to it. But it's us men that have to be ready for the battle. And unless we watch a lot of war movies and stuff like that, then we really don't have any idea. Joking. Now, I put in here Dawn Hagedorn. Remember Dawn? She used to be in the war room. Dawn sent me this link I just put in the chat room that it's actually a full movie called Battle in Seattle. It was made in 2007. It's on YouTube for free. You can watch the entire movie on YouTube. And it literally almost goes minute by minute for what's going on in Seattle right now. As a matter of fact, there is a point, she sent me a timestamp of the movie where there's literally a white police officer holding a black man down with his knee, holding his head down with his knee in the movie. And so, there's, it's amazing what is out there. And, it's, if you haven't heard Sandi's new segment from the next chapter last Thursday, I've already segmented it out. It's out there. It's on YouTube. It's on the website. It's called that racism thing. And then I put a slash and said, people are stupid, because basically it really boils down to the fact that people are stupid. The problem is the government's not. The government has a plan. They have been planning this for a while. They don't care what the people think. And they know that's the biggest problem, is they know that the people of, especially of the United States, are stupid. They're going to, especially if you acclimate this in piece by piece, little by little, you make a big event and just slam everybody. Nobody can do anything about it. What are you going to do? Like when COVID-19 showed up, what are you going to do? I mean, they slammed it to us. And so it's not only that, they've known for a long time that they can, little by little, it's like the movie What About Bob? You know, it's baby steps. It's little by little by little, baby steps by baby steps by baby steps. All I got to do is bring it in. And it's the way Satan works is the biggest deal. Is Satan doesn't just slam it on you. He just brings things in little by little by little by little by little until it builds and builds and builds. And of course, the end result of what we do is sin begets sin. And, you know, the biggest sin actually is the littlest sin of not doing anything about it when we first find out about it. You know, we let it go. We let it build up. And like me, my biggest sin is, no, this can't be happening. No, this isn't happening. No, this is not going on. And then it slams me in the face because it builds little by little by little. So people are stupid. The government knows it. The government is not stupid. They know what they're doing. They have a plan. Am I right on this, or am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I don't think the government is stupid about it. I think
he said it. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not
Exactly.
stupid. The people are, and the government knows the people are.
Yeah, exactly. They know how to manipulate. They know how to manipulate
and silence
the
those who aren't stupid.
Yeah. So it's pretty much a dangerous time. By the way, the new chief of staff is General Mark A. Milley.
Why does he have him?
Because that's who the Pentagon chose to put in the place.
Well, then, okay, guys, tell President Trump to remove him.
And those it's all political. When it gets to that level in the armed services, and you get to the general level, there's a lot of politics that go into play.
We know that from a general that we know. So, and you go back to the very beginning of the Trump's administration, and you see what happened to General Flynn. The reason they had to take out General Flynn is because General Flynn knows where all the bodies are buried. Can they reinstate him?
And President Trump can, but even this is a whole nother subject. But even now with the government finally decided to rest their case, knowing that they had no case and that everything was fabricated for him. But the judge on it is now wanting to prosecute General Flynn because they want him hamstringed. They do not want him available to go freely back into the Trump administration to advise on what's exactly going on. But there's more people than General Flynn that are out there that know what's going on behind the works, and we just need to pray that those people that will rise up. But here's the thing, the only person that we can trust, the only one that we can trust is Yahweh through this, because this thing is huge. It's huge. It's more than what's happening in America. It's happening in Great Britain right now. It's happening in France. It's happening in Spain. It's happening in Hong Kong. It's happening in nations around the world where people are fighting for freedom, but these troublemakers, but funded by George Soros and many others that are out there tied to Black Lives Matter, they're bringing the riots to those cities as well in order to remove any sense of nationalism. We know what this is going on in Great Britain because of what they just did in passing the Brexit and the going forward with Brexit. So Anyway, we've got all of these things that are taking place before our very eyes because it is about this one world agenda. It's about order out of chaos. It's about stirring this up in order to bring about the world system. It's about Bill Gates and ID 2020, which he was going to be.
I thought President Trump declared that.
Well, it's still going to move forward. And they're going to tie it to vaccinations because that's the only way.
But President Trump said no vaccine. He said no on all that.
That's the only way they can press forward this agenda. At first, it's going to be voluntary. Later, it probably won't be voluntary.
But President Trump said no.
He said it won't be. It will not be mandatory.
But he also went against the ID 2020.
Yeah, he did say that, and this is all the more reason why they want to eliminate President Trump because. Basically, he's kind of holding the tide back. But if we don't pray for those that are in leadership, those that are representing us here in the United States. We're the government. So if we're not talking to our government, if we're not talking to our representatives, if we're not telling them there's such a mass counter voice to what's going on out there, then they will continue to slide. I mean, slide down this slippery slope. And that's the danger that we're in.
Well, but we can't just sit back and do nothing. I know we said all of a sudden it's there, but we still have to encourage the good guys. We have to stand behind them. They have to know we're behind them. Those that are going to stand up, we've got to call.
But it's more than just what's happening on the federal level. It's here in our local communities, our mayors, our city councils. We've got to do something about that. I mean,
stop electing Democrats.
We're supposedly have a Republican mayor in Amarillo, but she's doing everything a Democrat would do.
Well, we need to take care of that then, don't we?
Yeah, we just put her into office and we need to get her out of office. So, I mean, this is where it all boils down to. George Soros is funding so many of these district attorneys that are on the local level, and they're not prosecuting these troublemakers, those that are causing violence in the city, the looting, the fires, the physical harm to people. They're going into jail, and because of their district attorneys whose campaigns were funded by George Soros, are turning those people loose back on the streets to riot again on another day. So we've got to look at who is in power locally, because we all live in our own local communities, and that's where it all starts.
In other words, we need to start locally and go all the way.
Yeah, it isn't just on a federal level that we need to be looking at.
Mark, did you want to say anything else? John said a lot.
I have one last thing that I can add to this if you want to hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. I feel fine. So there you go. How about that? That all right for you?
Twister? Wasn't that on Twister?
On Twister? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so. But the movie Twister.
I remember it on at least a show or two. So
yeah. Anyway, there you go. Thank you for letting me be back on my show today.
You're welcome to be back on your show. What's next, John? No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Oh, well, it was good seeing you, and you did a 36-minute news segment.
Cool.
Been a little wound up on this stuff lately, and when Sandy said we did not pre-plan that, by the way.
Yeah. So what is the title of this segment? Defunding police?
The title of the article I said was...
what do you want to title what we've talked about?
Well, you're the one that did most of the talking, so you tell me.
It's really about the UN intervention.
UN given authority on U.S. soil? I don't know. You tell us.
Well, it's got to be a shock and awe, and if you put defunding police, people will go listen to it. It's got to be a headline that people want to go listen to. I mean, if I saw defunding police, I'd listen to it.
All right. So you know what I put on my Facebook on June 12th? I said, the UN is coming. The UN is coming.
Okay. I like it.
We need some Paul Revere's.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a history lesson that isn't quite right too, unless the history of the real history is right and the new history is wrong, and then who knows? That's a whole nother
Paul
subject.
Revere and his buddy, actually.
Paul Revere and his buddy. That's exactly right.
Go find out who that buddy is. That's your assignment this week.
Or the Constitution. Get ready for the Constitution show with Mark.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Contemplating the Constitution.
Wasn't Paul Revere's buddy Ichabod Crane? Didn't Ichabod Crane ride with Paul Revere? No. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, contemplating the Constitution. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Boy, I wish I could get you guys on that, because every week we barely get through an article, a section, and a clause or two, because we talk about so much on there. And so it's like, I don't know, quit your job and come on the show.
My biggest thing is I have Amariah, and she is a go-getter. She's 2 and 4 months now. So
I have a solution for you.
What is that?
When my show starts, or 15 minutes before my show starts, call an Uber and just set her in the back seat, strap her in, then come back in. Tell the Uber to go to one side of Amarillo, and then bring her back. And just so there you go. Then.
Oh, she's too precious to me. I couldn't do that. She has her routine in the morning too. So anyway,
that'll be her routine on Wednesday morning.
Well,
we lost you again. That's something you got to get fixed right there.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that. It was fine on the War Room this morning, but this is the 3rd time for this show. But she would, on that side. Work does. She jumps up and down, and she would probably be Sunny. That's what she calls me, Sunny. Let's go play. Sunny, let's go dance. Or on Shabbat after in the evening when she was telling everybody, she's saying, Yeshua loves me, probably 15 to 20 times at the dinner table in the middle of it. Is there any way you can show that picture? She got a hold of cupcakes. I was doing a wedding. I sent out wedding invitations to our kids because we were going to have, honey, they can't, you're going to have to make it bigger.
There you go.
We can see it.
There he is. Yeah, cupcakes.
Well, we didn't get to have because the services as it was, so we didn't get to do our wedding. We're doing water into wine.
And then she went to green.
Well, that was and somebody gave her a cupcake initially, and then my mother gave her another one, not thinking that's 2 cupcakes for
Killian had fun that night.
She did. Well, anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that, but
my kids will be here in less than 2 weeks.
How long?
For 2 weeks. They'll be here in less than 2 weeks, for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well, congratulations on that. So
we're ready.
Well, guys, with a lot of things, we did a big news segment today, and I think we're going to switch things up and be a little different for the show. And because my computer's already gone silent 3 different times during this show, I think we are going to call this the show. Yeah, contemplating the news and thinking about it. And we took a little bit of time with that. So anyway, what do you think about that, Mark?
I think it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. That's what I think.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you, Mark, for joining me. And we're missing some other people today, but thank you, Mr. John Craig, for joining your show.
There we go. Yeah.
And being a part of your show.
Yeah.
And the sky is not falling, by the way. So don't let the little bird come up and whisper in your ear, the sky is falling. No.
But it's moving. It's moving right now.
Mine's been moving and spitting on us for a long time here.
Everybody, please give us a thumbs up and share, let us know. But I want to give you some information real quick, again, on their inmates. If you know of somebody that is in the prison system, an inmate who is interested in receiving the word, the Torah portions, some Bible teachings, devotionals, et cetera, and they're interested, please let me.
From the Hebraic roots of our faith.
Yes. Please give us their name and number, but also encourage them to write me, because I really want to hear from the inmates themselves as well. And just as an FYI, with Life of Worship, we have our Sukkot, which is Clear Vision 2020, Yeshua the Waymaker, October 2nd through the 10th. And you can go online and download a registration form and join us, or call me or let me know. And online, the days are incorrect. And for some reason, I've uploaded the correct days 6 or 7 times and it won't take it. So I need a tech to help me figure that out, why it's not removing the wrong days. But it is Friday through Saturday, the 2nd through the 10th of October. Please let us know. We would love to have you join us. And we're going to have an exciting time together with all sorts of things, from a mikveh and talent shows and meals together every evening, and teachers and teachings and fun and archery and just you name it. We're having it, and it's going to be great. Prayer walks and things like that too. It's awesome. So
never saw a mikveh during a talent show though.
But maybe that would be something we could try.
Okay. All right, cool.
We have a beautiful covered area. We have restrooms and showers, and by the way, we don't have to clean the restrooms or the showers. They do it several times a day. They do it.
They're nice and clean.
Isn't that awesome? So
cool.
It's really good. Anyway, so we want to thank you for joining us on Let Us Reason Together. It's your show. Close us out.
Well, I want to say thank you for joining us on this edition of Let Us Reason Together. And I've enjoyed being back here today for a short time. But Mark, thank you so much for being part of the show. Love your input and what you've had to say. And Sandi, thank you for bringing that article up and taking on what you did today. And so until next time, we want to say shalom.
Ta-ta. It's the...
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.